Hello people, welcome back to my channel. This is Ranjiraj and hope you are enjoying this Python skill series so far. So I have made three videos before this. That was the introduction, and then we saw what were the conventions that is followed in Python programming, and then the latest video was operators, and then we have decision control, and today we have something called as the iterative control. So iterative control is mainly used in basically loops in programming. So this is an essential part where if you want to do some activity or do some process in a repetitive manner, you basically use the iterative control statements. And so if you know, like for loop is one such iterative control, and then you have something called as while loop, as you can see from the screen. These are the most widely used in other programming language also. In Python, this is followed too. So before we begin with today's discussion, let me remind you, in the second video I just mentioned, like there was no ternary operator, but that ternary operator was in accordance to the colon, that it was something like this. In your C expression you had something like this. This was a ternary operator in C and Java programming languages. So where some condition was there before this question mark, and some condition were there after this, and some condition were there after this. So ternary operator here does not mean about this question mark and colon. Instead it works on if else condition. So in the last video we saw what was a decision control, and in that we saw one program related to the square roots of quadratic equation. So in that we mainly use the if else, that is the elif ladder in that. So now the beauty of Python programming is that you can do such kind of things in one sequence, that is in one stretch. So it is basically an evolution of the if else statement that we have seen previously. So the syntax basically is what you see here, that is you have first value, something value to the left hand side of if condition, and then you have the condition in between, then you have else, and then you have some value. So if the condition is true, then it will print this value 1, else the condition is false, it will print this value. So this was the basics of what was the if else. Now let's see how we can use this in programming. So let me take a real example where this is mostly used. So now mainly in classification we go with the if else. If this condition is true, then we'll say like this will be, or this action will be executed, else it will execute some action. So what I now do is now I want to do a classification stuff. So say like I want to go outside for cycling, and I want to check whether what is the condition outside, or what is the weather outside. Is it cloudy, rainy, or overcast, or something like that. So for that what we do is I take one variable that is w1, and I'll just input to the stream. So I write weather now, or first I'll write what was the weather then I have something like this, what is the weather now. So this will be in w2. So I will check what was the weather some time ago and what is the weather currently. So based upon this we'll use this evolution of if else, this improved version, that is the one liner. So I basically want to go outside, so it is a binary classification, that is I will go outside or I will not go outside. So the first value that I will have is do not go. So this is the first value, and the condition is we write the if keyword, and then you have w1, that is if it is greater than w2. If this condition is true, then don't go outside, else if this condition is false, then you can go outside. So this is a very small program. So this mainly is used in classification things like you have in naive Bayes algorithm. So in that you use some kind of things like that to determine which is malignant, benign tumor, or if you want to classify which emails are spam or not spam depending upon the frequency or count of words, things like that you do like in information retrieval. So this small kind of if else goes into that, so you can see how much lines of code that we have saved in this particular code of snippet. So now let's execute this. So it is asking for what was the weather then. So I write like it is overcast. So earlier it was overcast, now it is sunny. So what it should give is go out. So that should be the ideal case that should be happening. So now if you remember this particular kind of relational operators, we have seen that it also works with even with the strings as well. So it will check in the dictionary order, that is now we just limit that our value can be only overcast and sunny. So then we have cloudy and rainy as well. So we'll just check with that also whether it works or not. So let's say like it was sunny before and now it is rainy. So it is like this. So it says like do not go out. Now if we want to do with cloudy and rainy, then we have to do some modifications in this code. So that will be a part of your assignment. So if you are able to do it, then you are free to do it. So that is one small assignment that I'm giving from my side. So this was all regarding the usage of ternary operator in real life application, especially in naive Bayes for binary classification. We mainly use this. So now we move on to the next discussion of today's session, that is we have the while loop. So while loop is also based upon some condition, like until that condition is true we'll it, iteratively perform that activity so on, and then once the condition becomes false then we'll stop it. So this condition is simple, so we will write with the help of an example, or we'll just see how this is used in practical. So let's say like we again want to print some natural numbers, but this time it will be in the reverse order. So this particular task was said as assignment in the previous exercise. So if you weren't able to do it, so watch here carefully so how we can do it. So first of all we want to take some number that is input. So we use the input and we take the input from the user, that is enter a value for n. So user will obviously enter some value, but since you are taking input from the user, it will always be string. We don't want in string, else it will throw some error. So we will do some kind of casting. So it will be an integer casting. So this completes our input stream from the user. And now what I do is I initialize, that is I, to x. So now I is our control. So I basically is the iteration that we are going to do. So till whatever is the x. So if say like we want to generate 20 natural numbers, first 20 natural numbers. So first of all 20 will go into this I, and then it will go on printing until it becomes 1. So similar kind of logic we have to build here. So it's very simple. Just watch here carefully. Now comes the while part. So in while part we have to write some condition. So while is followed by while some condition. No, now I will write some condition, and then after the condition you have to put one colon. Similarly you have seen in the if and else, and also in elif. So similar kind of syntax is followed here as well. We don't write the condition, just I'll see how this is done. Now we want to print all the numbers. So first it will print I. So if I took 20, so first 20 will be printed. So for that we have this I will be printed, and then we have this end. So inside end it will be spacing. Basically I don't want the numbers in like one after the other, I just want in a horizontal fashion. So for that I use this end parameter. We have seen this, that is the end setter. And now what I want to do is, since now I print, say for example 20 I have printed, now I want to just go one step back, or if I want to decrement one number. So for that I will do I is equal to I minus 1. And so to make our work simpler, we'll mainly use the compound subtraction operator. So now comes the condition. Now what should be the condition here? So we have done till here. So just make sure like this indentation you can follow. You can see this cell that is being highlighted, and so it should be one after the other. So now this indicates that the whatever you do, that is under the control of this while statement. So now what should be our condition? So we have this I, so I should be greater than or equal to 1. So now we want to iterate till this value, that is till 1. So since we started all the natural numbers from 1 and up till the number which we decide, so similarly we will end to 1. So until this number is greater than or equal to 1, we have to repeat this. So how does it work? So let us type a value for n. So I basically want the first 20 natural numbers. So you get 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, and so on up till 1. So how does this basically work? So first of all, when I inputted 20, so 20 goes here. So this will be an assignment operator. So I will have value 20. 20 will be assigned to I. Now it will check whether that 20 value is greater than or equal to 1. Condition is true. It will go inside this first statement inside while. It will print 20. It will print this, that is the space, and I will be now decremented. Now it will be 19. Now again the control goes here. So it will check 19 greater than or equal to 1. Yes, it is true. It will print 19 with a space and will decrement. It becomes 18, and so on up till it reaches 1. Now when it reaches 1, it will again check the condition. It is true. It will print 1, and the space is also printed. So there is one space which you can't see here, and now 1 is also decremented. Now value of I is 0. But when it goes here, so it will check the condition. Is 0 greater than or equal to 1? The condition evaluates to be false. It terminates out of the while loop, and you get this in your console. So this is the basic working of the while loop. So it is as simple as that. So if you were not able to solve this, so this is the simple explanation for this while loop. There is no problem if you weren't able to solve this. We just start all this by taking small baby steps. So don't worry if you were not able to do it. Just practice. Uh, First, in the first step, when you do programming, it becomes tough, but when you just used to it, it becomes very easy. So that was regarding the while loop discussion. Next, what we have is we have the second iterative control, that is we have the for loop. So for loop, you all know, like we if we want to print something multiple times, we don't multiply that particular string with the number of times. Instead, we mainly use the for loop. So that becomes our life simpler. And in programming, this is also most widely used in order to print something, like basically the count of some items. So now let's illustrate this example with the help of, like, say, market basket analysis. So you all might have went to supermarket to buy some kind of items, certain groceries, hygienic products, and so on. So there you basically, when you enter, you have this cart, and so you put some items, say like you have uh, 10 to 15 items on an average. So then what you do is, at the counter, if you have two or more items, then what they basically do is they'll just uh, take one item of the same, and then they just multiply with how many times if you have taken. Like if you have taken milk twice or thrice, then they'll just take milk once, price of milk once, and then it will multiply with the number of times you have taken. So it is simple as that. So basically you have to check the count. So similarly what we do is we have a cart. So this is a convention, that is for variables you have to keep in mind, like you can't write like this. So this is illegal. in variable. So this is the convention that we follow. So we have one cart1. Now here what we are doing is we are implementing a new data structure that is called as a list. So we have not got into the data structures that are available, or the most common data structures that are available in Python, but this is the very first appearance of this in this particular series. So we have something called as a list. List is identified by this kind of square brackets, and in this we have some items. So let's put some milk. So then we find some bread. So we'll just buy only essential things. Then we have butter, then we have cola, and then we have meat. Then we would like to have cookies, and I say I want 2 or 3 cookies. So I have cookies like this, and then I would buy fish. Okay, fish. So that completes my shopping list, just this much. Now what I do is I go to the counter for billing. Now I want to count like how many cookies I have taken. So at the end you get this bill, right? So in the bill you just count like whether the calculation was all perfect or not. So how many cookies I have taken, how many butter I have taken. So I just want that count. So for that we basically use this variable that is count, and we initialize to 0. So initially before the billing the counter is set to 0. Now what we have is we'll just realize this for loop how it is used. So for this you write this for keyword here, and then you have a literal. So literal is nothing but an iterator. So basically it will go into your cart and will check like how many occurrences of that particular thing is there. So we want to use for e. So e is basically an iterator. Just don't go into like you can put a or any variable in that. So there is no particular thing like convention that you have to always follow e. And then we'll check like in. So in, if you remember, was a membership operator. So we will check like we will send this e into this cart1. So for that we need to write cart1. So for e in cart1 we'll check if the value of e is equal to cookies. I want to count for cookies. So now this what I have written here, so this is called as the token or the value for which we'll be counting. So this is our major goal. We want to count for cookies. So this is a static program. Later when we do about the data structures, we'll make everything as dynamic. So this is just for your convenience that I'm demonstrating how we can use the for loop. And then below this, that is and if you have noticed that I have missed a colon here, so it would have given me a warning, not a warning, in fact it will give me an error. So it should come below this. So you should not forget like even if it is for loop, or even if it is if, or even if it is while loop, everywhere you have to put this colon. After the condition, colon should be there. And then after this what you have is, I'm sorry, yeah, after you have this I want the count, and I'll just come out of the loop, if loop, and I'll just print the count of that particular item. So count I'll print here, and I have the cnt variable, the basic count, how much I have. So if I run this I get 3. So that is visible from your cart. You have 3 cookies, and say like I just change this token to butter, and say it is just once. And if I want like I want coffee, is it there? No. So this was the basic usage of for loop in kind of this stuffs. Like we mainly use in association rules where we have n number of transactions, there will be many cards at the counter. So we mainly use this kind of things there. So this was just a small usage, a toy problem, just to demonstrate the usage of for loop. Now what we come into the main discussion of today, that is we have something called as the range with for loop. So we have realized like how we can use for loop above, and now we'll mainly understand uh, the semantics as well as the syntax of the range. So now this range function is most widely used in programming. Whatever you do, like if you want to print any numbers from some lower range to some higher range, you basically employ this range function. So this will be most important thing that you will be using in your programming throughout in any of the models or machine learning classification stuffs. So where you want to repeat this particular activity, you mainly use this range. So before that, let's understand the syntax and the semantics. What is it? So for that, I write like I said, if you want or if you need any help on any particular kind of methods or variables, you write like this. So here we go. So we have this particular help on this particular method. So help on class range in module built-ins. So this is basically a function. So you need to remember like this is the main syntax. So it has some start index, some stop index, and then you have some step parameter. So it basically takes three steps. So range, it has basically three steps. So something will come here, something will come here, something will come here. So what comes first? It will be the start, second comes the stop, and third comes the step. So step is optional, you need not write step. Even the stop is also optional, you need not write that. So then what we can write, but you have to mention the range. So if I write something like this, and if I print like this, so you can see like it starts from 0. Any range, unless it is specified, it starts from 0, and then it will print to some number. So now here we have given 5, so that's why it is printing 5, but ideally it will be n minus 1. So let us better understand with the help of an example what we are talking about. So say for example, uh, now this range function first takes this start. So it has some start value that will be your 0, say here in this case, and then you have some stop, or it will be end of the particular loop or printing. So now since here it is 5, it will ideally be 5 minus 1. So whatever you have, wherever you have to stop, it will be n minus 1. So just to make sure, like whenever you implement this range function, you have to keep in mind that you are putting uh, a number that is 1 plus where you want to print or how many times you want to print. So if you are not attentive in this discussion, don't worry, we'll just understand with the help of an example more. And if you want any details or more to know about the range function, you can mainly use this help, that is which I've commented here. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to print some multiplication table. So we always don't remember the multiplication tables. Like if I say what is 19 times of 5 or 5 times of 19, then it becomes like it takes some time, right? So without the help of calculator you can do in Python programming, it's very simple. So basically we'll be now doing that activity, that will be writing a program for a multiplication table. So this is also just a toy problem, not a real world example, just for your understanding. So I want to do first the typecasting. So I'll write the input, and input I'll write enter a number, enter a number, uh, I will get a number and it will be in integer and it will be stored in n. Now I want to write how many times I want to multiply this number with some other number. Like say like if I want to print the multiplication table of 3, so like 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, 3 times 4, so that times is this variable. So in this also we have this particular input, so everything will be taken dynamically. So here it will be enter the range, enter a range, and here we'll just comment this. We'll give a note like whenever if someone just runs this, so he should know what it should be. So input a number that is 1 plus then the times you want to generate. So it is as simple as that. So if we want to generate like I want to generate a multiplication table of 5, and if I want to generate till 5 times 20, so you have to input times value should be 21. So it is simple as that. So now we'll print this. So I have like if you want to just design this something like this, a table sort of stuffs, and we'll just copy it once again. So this is just for like it should be neat, the table should be very neat. So for that I've just put this, but our main part comes here. So the logic all lies here. So first we write the for keyword, then for I. So here I have told like you can use this e. So here for that I'm using the I. So it can be any variable, you can use a or b or c, any variable. So there is no compulsion in like you have to use this or that. So just for your understanding, and we use the membership operator that is in. Similarly we have followed in card stuff the other, and then we have this range function. So since we have this input range, we'll mainly use this range function. It is as simple as that. So I want to generate the multiplication table from 1, like 2 times 1, then 2 times 2, 2 times 3. So this is like we are explicitly stating that we want to start from 1 and not from 0. If we have not stated this, it will generate from 0. And then we have this times. So now this is the important thing, colon you should not forget. And now what we'll do is we'll just print this. So in print what we'll do is we want to print whatever number we want. So it will be like 5 times 1, 5 times 2, 5 times 3. So in all these things 5 comes into picture, so it should stay like in every iteration. So for that we'll print first of all whatever n we have given, and then uh, just for this interpretability we'll type a x, and then we have some I here, and then we have this equal to. So it will be 5 into 1. So like say n takes value 5, then 1. 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 4 is 20, and so on. And so the output what you want is that is n times I. So this completes our multiplication table. So it is very simple. So now let us run this. So like say I want to generate multiplication table of 9 and enter a range. See, now I want the multiplication table of 9 to go from 1 to 20. So if I read this 1 plus then the time you want to generate, so I will write it as 21. So you can see here that is 9 times 1 is 9, then twice 18, thrice 27, 4 times 36, and so on up till, so this ended at 9 times 20. So this perfectly works. Now since we are given this 21. So we are doing this, and now you can do this in another way also. You can just modify this, or you if you want, uh, if you just put here that times, and if you just generate it, like if I put times minus 1, so it will generate only, like say I want 3, and if I say like 21, then it will generate till this, that is 19. So you can see like how this can change, like depending upon this condition you can just mix and match. And if I write times plus 1, so you can just control over this, like how many times you want to generate. So if I say I want to generate till uh, 19 here, so it will be till here. So it basically that is times plus 1. So as an entity, this will be considered as one stop. So what I told, like it will be minus 1. So it will be times plus 1 minus 1. So it will be times. So it will go till 19 only. That's it. So this was all regarding the discussion of today's session about for loop. That is what we have covered. Is we have seen that is the evolution of if else ternary operator, then we saw the while loop, then we saw the for loop, then we have the for loop with a range method. So this is an important thing whenever you do programming in future. So well, that was all regarding in today's session about the iterative control. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you found you got educated on this video, please do like, share, comment, and if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching this video.